Hello, everyone. Pre-Happy New Year. I'm Louix Dempriey, known to some as Bhagavan Sri Pranananda, and we are, because we're here at a group gathering, our annual New Year's Eve retreat, which is coming to you live this year from Vietnam. We are just outside the city of Cam Ranh, a couple hours north of Ho Chi Minh City, also known as Saigon. So, just clear my throat. We are less than a half hour away from the year 2025. So, in my annual tradition, I'm going to spend a few minutes recapping the year of 2024, which I proclaimed 1 year ago tonight as the year of obedience, during which I invited people to explore in their lives where in their life, in what ways and what manners they have been historically very obedient, very disobedient, somewhere in between, and all the permutations and manners in which that finds expression, the obvious and the not so obvious. We were just having part of what we do in this traditional celebration. We just spent the last hour or so in our group of 40 to 50 people here gathered with me, many of us reflecting on how that has looked in their lives in terms of some of the subtle and not so subtle ways. Things like the people who might think they're very obedient in life, and then I was helping them to see some of the subtle areas that show the opposite, like people who press the gas pedal to the metal on a yellow light rather than stopping for the red, or are very comfortable showing up 5 or 10 minutes late, or not keeping their word when they give their word to someone. I'll meet you at 4 o'clock and not showing up, or making plans and then not showing up or canceling. And those are all also forms of disobedience. And then there's the direct, more flagrant disobedience when a superior, whether it's a parent or a teacher or an employer or some person of authority in position, quote unquote, over you, instructs you or asks you or directs you to do something, and you either directly say, no, I won't, or say, yes, I will, and then refuse to or don't follow the instruction. Someone lays out, let's say someone who's directing you lays out a very specific way that an assignment or a task is to be done, and you take it upon yourself to do it a different way. These are all forms of disobedience, and that's a form of rebellion, and it creates a disharmony in the universe, because there is a structure and order and hierarchy of creation that is built on symbiosis, and it's built on interpersonal relationship, and it's built on interaction with each other, on not dependency or codependency, but an interdependent way of being, where we all need each other and rely on each other, and we're created to live in this world in a tribal fashion. Humans were created and first put on the planet in tribes. And there's a reason for that, because we're interdependent upon each other and need to work together as a team. So when people go against the grain of that by being defiant, disobedient, belligerent, swimming upstream when we're supposed to be heading downstream, metaphorically speaking, that disrupts the order and flow of creation, and it causes disharmony, which in turn causes pain and suffering, which causes conflict, which causes enmity, and you could see it's a spiraling negativity. So a year ago, I proclaimed 2024 in my annual divine dispensation to be the year of obedience, so people could discover those things I just described in many, many other ways, and then re-educate themselves and recommit themselves to becoming more obedient, which in turn would create not only more harmony, ease, grace, and flow in the universe, but also, first and foremost, in your own life. Because, as I said, when those non-loving and cooperative ways of being are demonstrated, it does create suffering, and it creates disharmony, and it creates, all kinds of problems. Sometimes immediate, sometimes later. It just undermines the system, and it undermines the way we're supposed to be living. So, one of the fascinating observations that I had, it was also, I say fascinating, but it was very disheartening. And more so, I would like to say that I've been doing these dispensations since the late 90s, so, over 20 years, almost 2.5 decades. I've been doing these when I first started, and this year of 2024, more so than any other year since the very first one I did in 1990, end of 97, going into 98, more so than any other year did I see on the playing field the exact opposite of what was intended. And it was heartbreaking to see that in the, quote, year of obedience, when people had proclaimed and held a vision and a mission statement, proclaimed a mission statement to become more obedient in all the many, many ways, in all the myriad ways that each of us can, that what I saw play out was the opposite in almost everyone I worked with and engaged with, or just witnessed, in my walk-a-day world. I saw more defiance than ever before. I saw more disobedience than ever before. I saw more belligerence, more conflict. It was really quite fascinating. I did see a few who, took the torch, grabbed the baton and ran with it, and had tremendous blessings in their lives. And the interesting thing is, the ones who did do that, and they were very, very few, by their account, their words, not mine, oops, sorry, touched my mic. By their account, each one who did that, the few who did, said they had the single most miraculous year they could ever remember. They had the greatest number of blessings befall them than they can ever remember. They had the most grace, the most ease, grace, and flow in their lives they could ever recount or remember, and which was a testimonial to what I had laid out on December 31st last year, that is exactly what would happen. And so it was, while it was heart-wrenching to watch so many people do the exact opposite, it was heartwarming to see even just the 2 or 3 or 4 of my disciples, devotees, or students, go for the golden ring and grab hold of it and say, I'm going to do that. Whatever it takes, I'm going to do that. And it was really rewarding to see that. So bear in mind with these dispensations that it's not just for the year. The year is the year to become facile with doing it, to implement it and recalibrate your life, to incorporate, to inculcate this new divine way of being, or raising the bar if you already have a certain level of mastery in that, to raise it to an even greater, even better, even brighter level, to create more success, more mastery, more abundance in your life, more inner peace, more joy, more success, more fulfillment. And so each year we have that whole year to really harness our focus and our activities and our practice on that. But it's not just for the year, it's to become that, to add to the mix, add to the milieu of all that is you as ongoingly for the rest of your life. So some people say, oh, now I can let that go and we'll go on to the next one. No, that's to get it up to speed, to become a permanent part of your new character, which is now more divine and more loving and more resplendent of your true divine nature. And then the next year, we harness our focus on another aspect for that very same reason. So for those of you who are watching or might be watching and did last year, I hope and I pray and I hold the vision that, you fell into the latter category whereby you did explore and you did look in the mirror and be accountable and make changes in your life to become more and more obedient and obliging and subservient and surrendered. And a lot of people see that as a confrontation or a challenge or a means of being demeaning, and it's not at all. One of the axioms I live by and I teach is that the highest use of power is exemplified through surrender. Whereas most people falsely believe, I don't want to give my power away. I'm not going to obey anyone else. No one's going to tell me what to do. Well, that's what causes, that mindset is what causes all the problems in the world. For all the reasons I said, we are an interdependent species, a tribal species. And so that don't tell me what to do, I'll do what I want. That's a recipe for pain and suffering. That's a recipe for isolation. That's a recipe for just a lot of things that don't forward the plot, the divine plot. So no, that is not about giving your power away, becoming obedient. It's about becoming more divine. It's about becoming more masterful. And remember, again, I'll repeat, the highest use of power is access through surrender. So people think it's a sign of weakness, not only giving power away, but a sign of weakness. And people who have become great leaders, those who have, know this to be this inalienable truth, that you cannot become a great leader if you have not mastered the ability to follow instruction. Because how can you lead others if you can't follow instruction? So again, another misnomer, another false belief, another delusion that plagues a lot of people. This whole concept of weakness and giving power away and all of that. It's like, you can't lead and be successful if you yourself don't know how to follow direction. You can't have people respect you if you don't respect authority. So, the world has taught a lot of very false teachings, and people blindly follow them and mistakenly follow them and misguidedly follow them, and it leads them down what is not a primrose path and not as any good kind of path, but a path that doesn't lead anywhere but more separation, more suffering, more loneliness, more lack of fulfillment. So that was and is 2024. And now we're coming into, in a few minutes, we're coming into 2025. So as I do every year, I look in the collective consciousness, take a temperature check of where the planet's at. I look in politics, I look in entertainment, I look in the world of finance, I look in the major barometers, I look in the metaphysical community and see these are some of the 4 or 5 strongest indicators of where the collective consciousness is at, and always has been and is. And of course, look in social media and follow along there too. Get an idea of what is really needed. And not only what is really needed at this time, but also what stands on the shoulders of this year we just completed. Which, as I just described, needs a lot more work. So we're going to carry that one along. Those who did not grab the baton and go for it. So I invite you into that. But what the gift that I'm going to give tonight to all of you and the invitation is, and some may say, oh, you say that every year, but no, seriously, this there's an alchemy in this particular dispensation I'm about to speak that is of such import, of such a magnitude. It is one of the single greatest gifts you could ever give yourself, and one of the catalysts and vehicles for the greatest amount of personal growth, personal healing, personally achieved freedom that is available. In fact, there is almost no greater vehicle than this. It's in the top 3 for sure. And depending on the individual or where you're at in your life, they jockey position, 1, 2, and 3. But this one makes the top 3 all the time. And in some points in your life, it will hold position as number 1, the single most important thing you can do. And for that reason, I have proclaimed and am now proclaiming 2025 to be the year of forgiveness. And it is what is needed in this world more than ever. we're living in a time, while it's at once the birth of the Aquarian age, the dawning of the Aquarian age, it's also the tail end of this Kali Yuga, this age of darkness. And we're seeing the throes of this as the phoenix is rising. And there's so much, while there's so many beautiful inventions and so many light beings and star children being born, there's also so much hatred and judgment and enmity and war and competition and this one-upmanship and stepping on people and this harboring of resentment and revenge and retaliation. And you see it in social media, you see it, people just get destroyed. I mean, look at just how many suicides we see when people get attacked on social media and it goes viral, and then these people take their lives when people's, quote, dirty laundry gets aired and goes viral, and these people just feel destroyed. And that's not the way we're meant to live. We're meant to bless each other, to uphold each other, to be cheerleaders for each other, to help and support each other, not to condemn and criticize and put each other down. And so what unravels that more than anything else, what frees you from karmic bonds more than anything else, from the wheel of karma more than anything else, is the act and the art of forgiveness. It is so profound. I could not overstate it enough. And the lack of that, or the dearth of that, or the incompletion of that, and I'll get to that in a moment, what I mean by that, is what holds people back more than anything else. It's what keeps people stuck in relationship long after they've ended. They're still bitter, it's like being in a mouse wheel of the pain never ending, not being able to let go of the person, of the memory, of the hurt, of the anger, of the betrayal. It all is rooted in and stems from a lack of forgiveness. All of it. It is the keystone in the dam to everything in your life that can lead to happiness, fulfillment, and inner peace. It is the single most important thing. And it has two aspects. There is the forgiveness of others, which is what I've been indicating in some respect. But equally important is forgiveness of self. Now, once again, a lot of people think they're very good at it. I mean no disrespect to anyone on the planet, but almost nobody on the planet is. And it's not because of malice, it's not because of malintent. It's because most people don't know what unconditional love is. They think they do intellectually. But first, let me show you the word etymology of forgiveness. If you break the word down, it means, you have for, as in before, you have give, the act of giving or doing, and ness, a suffix which means the building of. So forgiveness means to return to loving as before the event happened. In other words, it never happened. Could you love, will you choose to love that person, the perpetrator, the betrayer, the violator, whatever it was, whether it was money, whether it was sex, whether it was abuse, whether it was slander, whether it was whatever, physical violence, rape, whatever. We all have the innate ability to love as the Creator loves, because we're made by that same love, we're made of that love, and we're imbued with that love, the power and ability to use, to spread, to share, to multiply, and replicate that love. And that love of the Creator is unconditional, without condition. And people intellectually think they know what it means, but on the playing field, very few people do, and even fewer practice it, because they don't know what it is. It's a concept. Oh, my love's not, I love you unconditionally. The subtext, so long as you do what I say, so long as you blah, 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 so long as, and the list of agendas and perpetrations is a mile long, and a lot of people don't know they have them. So they think their love is unconditional. Therefore, they think the same way people falsely think they forgave someone. And by forgave means return to loving that person as before the event happened, like it never happened. Return to giving love as before. And the surest way to know whether your forgiveness is real, like to the core. Now, I'm not saying when people say they forgive, they're not forgiven. They are, but it rarely goes to 100% is what I'm striving to convey. And how you know, the surest sign, is if you're still thinking a lot about it, you still feel angry from time to time, you still feel bitter, you still feel a chip in your shoulder, you still feel hurt, you're still wanting justice, wanting restitution, those are all indicators that you did not reach 100% of forgiveness. Just loving that being like it never happened because it never did. Now, some people might say, well, wow, that's kind of ridiculous, but what about how bad the things are that happen? Yeah, I get that. So, but, the universe knows how to take care of that. It's called karma, What you put into the universe comes back. So we're not responsible to hold other people accountable. The universe takes care of itself in that way. You reap what you sow. Everyone does. There's no avoiding that. What happens, the problem is people get very invested and attached to what that looks like. A, they expect it immediately. B, karma. B, they expect it in kind. If you stole my car, your car needs to be stolen. If you did such and such, then that needs to happen to you. That's not how it works. It's an energetic. What you put into the universe amplifies and returns to you. Period. That's how it works. As you reap, so do you sow. As you sow, so do you reap tenfold. Now, with the acceleration and the quickening happen in the world, tenfold is a minimum. That was the original law of karma and law of creation. But that has accelerated now. So tenfold is the minimum of your return on investment of whatever energy, thought, feeling, word, or deed, the 4 levels of creation, that you put into the universe. The minimum return on that investment, loving or non-loving, is tenfold. And it can go much, much higher because we're at an accelerated period right now on the planet, moving into and the beginnings of this Aquarian age, what people call in metaphysics the quickening. That's what's actually happening. So, forgiveness of others, forgiveness of self. So what's the homework? What's the assignment? You tell me. Look in your lives and see ones with whom you are still holding a grudge. Anger, bitterness, resentment, demanding justice, wanting restitution. I want to see him or her pay for that and, get your just desserts. You got to let that stuff go because it hurts you. It doesn't hurt them. It might, but it definitely hurts you. It's what holds you back. The lack of forgiveness is what holds every person back in life. Not only from success, from having happiness in relationship, including paramours and sexual relationships and romantic relationships, but also from having inner peace, true happiness, a feeling of fulfillment. All of that is affected by that. So look in your life to see where you can start choosing to forgive and take it deeper. And again, look for the barometer that shows you whether or not you have, because all those negative and non-loving permutations I described, they will start to disappear. When they're all gone, you've reached full forgiveness. And secondly, of equal importance, forgiveness of self. A lot of people walk around on this planet wearing scarlet letters, metaphorically speaking, from the famous book, of all types, condemning themselves consciously and especially unconsciously, and we don't have to do that. God doesn't ask that of us. We don't need to do that to ourselves. You have the permission and the power to forgive yourself, and it's important. That holds you back. So this year, and look again in the world too, look at the way people condemn public figures, especially politicians nowadays, for things that happen. Forgive, forgive, forgive. The universe will take care of itself. Our job is to become the greatest love, the greatest kindness, the greatest giving and sharing and loving and forgiving that we can be. And that's what changes the world, not the demand for justice. The law of karma takes care of that. I know it sounds Pollyanna, but it's actually true. We've only got a few minutes till a countdown, so we're going to take a pause here, and we're going to have our toast delivered, and I'll be back to do the countdown in just a minute or two. But I do have a special gift this year, a stone, a crystal that's going to help you with this. It is the clear quartz crystal, I have this little quartz heart in my hand. It is the most programmable stone in the crystal world. Easiest to clear and easiest to program. And again, pure white light, the crystal clarity of purity, of unconditional love. So I chose it in that manner. And so you can put that mission statement and that vision in your quartz crystal to help you in that regard. And if you want to incorporate perhaps rose absolute oil or some form of pure rose oil, or lavender holding that violet essence of transformation, and rose, the pure unconditional love, that will also help. So there you have it, folks. So we're just over 2 minutes now. This is so exciting. So an amazing, amazing year. I wholeheartedly, from the bottom of my heart, invite you all into this. Please believe me when I say, and I beseech you, you dive into this without self-punishment, without self-judgment, without, don't, crucify yourself over this, but be objective, accountable, and honest about it. But dive in and go for it, and you will see your life change. You're going to see, it'll feel like spells and curses have broken in your life. All the stuff that plagues and clings is all tied to a lack of forgiveness or an incomplete forgiveness, one or the other. Almost everything in your life that's still haunting you, holding you back, is tied to that. It's that big. All right, we're down to a minute and a half. So let's make this a wonderful year and watch the rippling effect of the blessings of you doing that for yourself. Forget about healing and fixing everyone, saving the world. It's not our job. Our job is to become pure love. To restore our inherent divinity is our one and only job. We don't need to go save the world or heal the world. The world is doing just fine. Mother Earth is whole and complete and always has been. And she's merely tolerating the unfoldment of her wayward and recalcitrant children as we fumble and find our way. So turn the focus inward on self and make your mission this year to forgive all the ones for whom you're still holding grudges, bitterness, resentment, expectation, entitlement, all of that, and especially become masterful at forgiving yourself for whatever it is. And again, you can be honest and be objective without self-bashing. That leads to nothing. Here we go. Hang on one sec. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Saluti per Cendani! All righty. Yes. Thank you, beloveds. I'm going to get up and walk to my room and give all these beautiful people hugs. So I wish you the very, very best this year. May it be a year filled with happiness and joy and love and a whole lot of forgiveness of self and others. So I bless you. I thank you. God bless you. Let's bless each other, and let's have an amazing year and watch the magic happen. Namaste. I love you.